The regional initiative in science and education is nurturing a new generation of scientists in sub-Saharan Africa. Through the RISE networks, students gain access to resources on their home continent that enable them to develop the skills needed to tackle some of Africa's most pressing challenges.
RISE was conceived by the African scientific community working in partnership with the Science Initiative Group, known as SIG, which is based here at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey. The Institute is proud to have hosted the RISE Secretariat since 2008.
As a water resource scientist, my interest is on freshwater sustainability. How do we get people to understand the importance of freshwater, and how do we make them aware that in fact their survival depends on freshwater resources?
I'm studying water resource science, but my PhD is focusing on ecotoxicology. Basically, I'm looking at the ecological risk of acid mine drainage in a salinizing landscape. In South Africa, we know that we've got coal mining, so I'm looking at what are the effects of this acidic water which is arising from coal mining and to these organisms. How do they respond?
I'm working with plant growth promoting bacteria found in the soil. One of my objectives is to see if this bacteria can actually promote plant growth. These plant growth promoters, they can actually be used as biological fertilizers or biological pesticides.
My PhD project that I'm doing at VET is on developing a novel methodology for the preparation or the synthesis of a group of natural and recycling antibiotics. I'm developing a new method which is efficient, which is high yielding, which incorporates the green technology, as well as also improves an atom economy.
My research is on the tea plant, the actual plant that is used to make the tea. It's called Camellia sinensis. What we're looking for is ways to find DNA pieces within the plant. So these DNA pieces would be genes that are governing favorable traits. And the traits that we're interested in is drought tolerance, yield, and quality. So food security is something that I'm most interested in. And the tea plant is just one route for me to look at that.
We're trying to design a new class of chemotherapy that hopefully will have fewer bad side effects and work just as well, if not a little bit better than the currently used drugs.
Through its university-based research and training networks, RISE fosters collaboration and communication among scientists in multiple African countries.
The value of the RISE network when it comes to communication of science is really critical. You need to share experiences. You need to learn from each other for you to be able to solve some of these challenging problems.
Science is not a one-man game. You have to work together. You have to share ideas. Everyone has a different way of thinking about things and looking at stuff. The way you make great breakthroughs is teamwork. It's not a solo effort.
RISE aims to strengthen science research and education in Africa by increasing the number of qualified staff in universities, and it encourages indigenous knowledge to solve local problems.
I'm from Nigeria. I was born in a rural part of Nigeria called Uzere. And Uzere is located in the Niger Delta, where we have oil exploration and exploitation, which also affects the river ecosystem that surrounds that area. And because of the oil exploration and exploitation, the river ecosystem are always degraded and polluted. So I grew up in Uzere, being aware of the surrounding, being aware of environmental degradation, being aware of environmental pollution, and how this actually affects the rural livelihood of those who live around that area.
Uganda is the malaria region. In fact, malaria is the #1 cause of sickness and death in children especially. One of the novel research I consider that I did is on investigating a plant called Artemisia annua, for use in prevention of malaria, taken as a tea. People were taking this tea once a week for the entire year, and I found that fever and malaria cases reduced by over 80%.
Irene Naigaga, a Ugandan national who completed her PhD at Rhodes University in South Africa through the RISE Water Resources Network, looked at water degradation and water pollution in Lake Victoria.
Where we are, this is Gaba landing site. Basically, it's a landing site that services the city, fish land from the main Lake Victoria water body. Currently, there is increase in water degradation and water pollution, which is coming from industrial waste, also from development, and also increase in population. It comes with a lot of environmental degradation, which ultimately impacts on the water body. It's like water quality has become now a global challenge, and not a single discipline can solve it. You need to bring on board several disciplines to come on board.
By pooling resources, sharing equipment and facilitating collaboration with mentors and peers across borders, the RISE networks have made it possible for students to obtain high-quality graduate training in countries where it might not otherwise be available.
We don't have these facilities, or you cannot do this kind of study in your country, but because the other country where the network is operating is equipped with those facilities, so it is a way of facility exchange. If it was not for network, I wouldn't be able to do this kind of degree in my country. So that is one of the benefits of the network as well.
There are other parts of Africa that are more developed than others. In Malawi, where I come from, or areas like Tanzania, they are not very well endowed in terms of equipment to do research. So through the networks, you are able to move from one institution to the other. The quality of research is now slowly improving, and scientists can comfortably go back home and do some meaningful research.
RISE is currently made up of 5 networks involving 17 institutions in 10 countries in sub-Saharan Africa, with students hailing from 17 African countries. The networks focus on areas of science and technology that are relevant to Africa's development. The African Materials Science and Engineering Network is based on the premise that increased skills in materials science and engineering are needed in sub-Saharan Africa to develop and add value to the extensive mineral deposits of the region. The African Natural Products Network works to develop Africa's rich biodiversity into a natural products industry of social and economic significance. The Southern African Biochemistry and Informatics for Natural Products Network trains scientists through research on the biochemistry and chemistry of natural products, including bioinformatics as an essential tool for data management and the elucidation of structure and function. The Sub-Saharan Africa Water Resources Network addresses the region's most pressing water issues, including rising use, declining quality, insufficient research and teaching capacity, inadequate weather stations, and the effects of climate change on water supply. The Western Indian Ocean Regional Initiative provides research and training in skills associated with the utilization of coastal and marine resources and the protection of the coastal and marine environment. RISE networks hold periodic gatherings where students and graduates share and receive feedback on their research and develop collaborations.
Everyone brings in their thoughts and you get feedback and you find ways to improve your own research and also assist others when they are speaking on their research.
Without communicating, nothing can be known. And if you communicate with others, it means that some people or other scientists can use that research for further studying.
You see, okay, there's this one from Nigeria, this guy's from South Africa, this one from Ghana, this one from Zimbabwe, Lesotho, you know, that you get different ideas from different people, and all these people are helping me in my research.
I want to interact with people in my field, people who have progressed in their academic careers, and I'm usually interested in how they got there, what challenges they went through, and how I can also maneuver my way through all these hardships as an African woman to actually also become a recognizable scientist internationally.
Since RISE was launched in 2008, more than 100 students have earned PhDs or master's degrees. Nearly all RISE graduates hold academic appointments at universities in Africa, where they're passing on knowledge and skills to their own students.
In my university, we are trying to improve our research activities, but by improving them, have established the computation and the modern research group,
I teach wildlife health and management, and specifically I teach ecology.
It is just so beautiful that when we do this research, we also pass on these skills to the young people because they are the ones that are going to hold the future.
You need young generation that learns alongside you, that are able to carry on from where you have ended.
By preparing students in their home regions to address locally relevant issues, RISE is beginning to contribute to Africa's development.
I am always an adherent supporter of African-grown science. As an African, you grow up within that context, understanding the dynamics within the African society, of which somebody from outside will not really understand.
It makes life easier for a scientist, having spent your time in a good university like this, to be able to go back home and be able to continue research. And that helps to alleviate the brain drain.
As a young scholar now, I want to contribute to my country, to the development of the country. I want to implement my new ideas, new innovations that I have.
I have had access to state-of-the-art equipment that I was only dreaming about or just hearing it in papers when I was back home.
It's important for African scientists to do research in Africa because it's home. And if you want to develop your country, you want to develop your continent, it starts with us. We shouldn't be looking outside.
By moving around in the networks, students have become so close, such that for those that have finished, they are now interacting, forming their own small networks.
As a fellow scientist, and I'm a mathematical physicist myself, I congratulate the RISE graduates for their hard work and impressive accomplishments. I especially commend them for their dedication to the development of their field and of their continent. Over 8 years, the value of the RISE network model has been demonstrated time and again. Graduates are now taking up academic posts and drawing on their networks to enrich the experiences of their own students. When RISE was created in 2008, the intention was to see it through its first phase with the help of the SIG Secretariat here at the Institute in Princeton, and then transfer full ownership to the African continent. The time has now come for an African home for RISE, and we are extremely pleased to hand over a thriving initiative nurtured with great care here at the Institute and now ready to take root in Africa.
If science and development is actually to move forward in Africa, corporate organizations really have to key into science and development by providing funding for scientists who are ready to do work in Africa. So for me, the passion has to be there to work for Africa, to work with Africa.
If you are given an opportunity to save your people out of this cascade of problems, it makes a whole difference out of it. Because it is not only science, you also put in an emotional part. As you're trying to solve, you remember your grandmother or uncle or cousin who died because of a certain problem. So when you're doing it with passion.
I'm Arlen Hastings, Executive Director of SIG, the Science Initiative Group at the Institute for Advanced Study.
And I'm Sarah Rich, the Program Associate for SIG.
SIG is proud to have been the Secretariat for RISE since 2008.
For more information, please email us at sig@ias.edu.